Hi, I'm Christa Jacobson, headmistress of the Budo, where we teach authentic ninjutsu and classical samurai Bujutsu. And for those of you who don't know what that is, those are the ancient martial arts of the ninja and samurai. In today's video, we're going to discuss training in traditional martial arts for the modern day. How can you train in traditional martial arts and make them applicable in the modern day for what we see in the modern age, the violent attacks, the modern weaponry? How is it possible to train in traditional martial arts to prepare you for the modern day world of self-defense? That's going to be today's topic. Now, of course, everyone has their own theory, thought, philosophies, and opinion on that particular subject, and today I'm going to share with you guys mine. Now, before I begin, I always have a little shout out at the beginning for all of my new viewers. So if this is the first video that you guys have seen of me on my channel, I am Christa Jacobson. I'm the headmistress of the Budo. So we teach classical Ninjutsu and Bujutsu, so traditional Japanese martial arts. If you guys are interested in traditional martial arts, reality-based self-defense, weapons training and tactics, survival skills, martial arts conditioning, martial arts theory, thought, and philosophy, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. And when you do subscribe to the channel, don't forget to click the little bell. That way you guys get the notifications and keep up with everything that we're doing. We do post 2 to 3 videos a week. So like I said, don't just subscribe, click the bell. So today's subject, how can you train in traditional martial arts for the modern day world of self-defense? Now, before I truly address how we break things down here at the Budo, which I think is a very important thing for my fans and followers and students and supporters to know, because the way that I do things is very unique and much different than what you see in the ninjutsu community. There's many different roads to get to the top of the mountain, and there's certain things that I just stand against in the world of martial arts. Before I get into talking about how we take the ancient kata and apply that in modern day self-defense, I've got to give you guys a little background information so you guys understand where I'm coming from on how it is that we do what we do, why we do what we do. But to get to that point, let me cover 2 things. One of the things that just absolutely pisses me off in the world of martial arts is the first Dan masters. The first Dan masters, and what I mean by that is, first of all, anyone who don't know anything, 5th degree black belt is a master. 10th degree is grandmaster. For all of you dumbasses out there on YouTube that's gonna be like, it takes a lifetime to master martial art. That's not what the fuck I'm talking about. You can go up to any university, you get a bachelor's degree, you get a master's degree, you get a PhD. Okay, that's it's just in the world of martial arts, when you hit 5th degree, you're now at the master level of training. That's what I'm talking about. What you get is a bunch of these first Dan masters. And the reason I stand so firm against it is because for many years, way back, you got to go way back, but I did the same thing in the beginning and it did nothing but hinder growth, and now I see that it's this absolute cesspool of bullshit in the martial arts. To be a master, you got to be a master. 5 first degree black belts does not make you a master. First degree black belt is an equivalent to like a high school diploma. You can do the basic techniques, you can do the basic methods, the basic techniques, kata, waza, whatever, at a basic level. It's easier to get 2 first degree black belts than it is to get 1 second degree black belt. Because when you get your first degree black belt, you got to level up to get your second degree black belt. But if you just learn the basics of, say, this art and the basics of that art, well, you don't really have any advanced training past the basics, so it's not as difficult. And you get a lot of people that they like to say, I've got the first in this, and I've got they don't say first degree. What they say is, I got a black belt in this, I have a black belt in this, I have a black belt in this. What they're saying is they have a first. And we call them the first Dan masters. They're the jack of all trades, master of none. They got no loyalty. They lie, cheat, and betray your ass. They jump from one organization to the next just so they can get something to make their fucking pocketbook look better. And those people that do that, they're not in it for the martial arts. They're not trying to make you better. They're in it for the money. I can say in every art and everything that we teach here at the Budo, I have a master level license and master level teaching license in everything that I teach. Solid, across the board. I earn my stripes. There's that. So now we're going to hold on to why. Here in a second, you're going to see why that makes a big difference into this concept. The next thing that we're going to talk about is kata itself. Kata is not something that teaches you how to fight. Anyone whose idea is like, well, I'm going to learn the kata, and the kata is going to teach you this technique versus in some sort of a street fight or some sort of reality-based self-defense. That's not what they were designed for. And ever. The kata is like a whisper from history. It's taking this transmission down from one generation to the next so people can understand what they need to do, the philosophies, the principles, the strategies and tactics to utilize in a combative situation. Kata was never meant to be, this is the technique specifically for this. It is the idea of the technique specifically for this. And I'm going to get into that because we have to talk about what a kata is as well, because when we talk about how do you learn traditional martial arts to make them applicable in the modern day, well then most people who train in traditional martial arts train in kata. And if they're going to train in kata, they need to know what that kata is, okay? So kata itself, the kanji, right, literally means form or earth-shaping form. And that's just a form that you can do to learn to be able to utilize in a situation. So they're teaching principles, and you have to apply those principles, strategies, and tactics as needed in the situation that you're in. The transmission of the kata has to be solid, because if that kata changes from, say, one generation to the next, it's not the same thing. That also changes the way that things happen. Now we know there's been lots of changes in many koryu schools. And for you guys who don't know what koryu is the martial arts that were created before 1868. So like here, I'm a koryu instructor. We teach martial arts that predate 1868, the time of the ninja, time of the samurai, right? The koryu schools are really big on making sure that the kata remains, and that direct transmission and the way that it's supposed to be doesn't change. We're trying to preserve history. Now, when you're trying to preserve history, it makes it very difficult to train in a kata and make that work exactly in the modern day, because a lot of the techniques or a lot of the way that they stand or move or things like that doesn't necessarily fit in the modern day. Now, one reason we see these kamae, everyone's like, oh, look at these big kamae. The way they fought back then was so different. Not really. They were killing each other. That's what they were doing. And they were very efficient at it. So if you guys really think that the way when you watch koryu demonstrations, if you really think that's the way that they were fighting on the battlefield, well, you know, you and I are just going to have to agree to disagree, because I don't believe that's the way they were fighting on the battlefield. I believe that's the way they practiced. And they had to practice a certain way in the 1500s to not hurt or get injured through practice. It isn't like today where they could have, like, you know, they could be like, oh shit, you know, I pulled some muscles. Let me take some ibuprofen. Let me get an ice pack. You know, let me, you know, and get an ace wrap on that one. They didn't have those kind of things. They didn't have modern medicine. You know what I mean? That's why the shuriken was such a deadly thing back then. It's absolute shit today. You know, you get these you read the Bon Senshukai and they talk about night raids by the ninja, right? Well, I mean, imagine ninjas, they take a bunch of, and everyone's gonna bitch about, there's no shuriken in ninjutsu. That's gonna be fucking stupid. Everyone used shuriken. It was a very common tool. It wasn't specific to ninjas. But let's be real about it. If you take a rusted up fucking piece of plate steel and you put shit all over it, and you piss all over it, you get it all infected, and then you creep in overnight, you send your shinobis in and on a night raid, and you start peppering their ass full of fucking, you know, shuriken, tack, 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 that's got this shit and feces all over it. You know, you run back to your lord and be like, yep, mission completed. You know damn good and well that in less than 48 hours, they're gonna be fucking like dysentery. They're gonna be shitting all over themselves and pissing all over themselves and vomiting. They're gonna be sick within 48 hours. So you go in there, you pepper their ass full of that shit, you come back and you're like, okay, 2 days from now, go raid them. Well, of course, right? Now, everyone gets a tetanus shot. So, you know, cutting yourself on a piece of rusted steel or something that has something on it, doesn't, you know, go get an antibiotic and you're good. So it doesn't hold the same weight. But the idea of learning these ancient kata, these forms, they have a strategy. They have principles. And strategies and principles don't change. The techniques will change over time, but the strategy remains the same. So we talk about these big kamae, you know, like these big ichimonji no kamae and all this kind of stuff, right? You know, these big kamae, right? Okay, so they take these big kamae, but they also wear these big ass hakama pants. Nowadays, we're wearing form-fitting clothes and jeans. You don't have to stand that wide when you're not wearing fucking big old hakama. And you always got your toes pointed straight, right? Well, the reason you see toes a certain way, angled a certain way and all this, is because the footwear that they wore at the time was basically a flip-flop. And if you had a fight in flip-flops, you'd have both, you've had that lead foot going straight too. You wouldn't turn it off like you'd see in a modern boxing stance. Now we have rubber-soled shoes. Now we have advanced footwear. You're not wearing a flip-flop with a goddamn piece of hemp rope tied around your foot and your ankle just to keep the goddamn thing on. So it's not, they fought a certain way because of certain things. Like, we're still human, so when it comes down to fighting, fighting's fighting, combat's combat. But if our soldiers had to wear flip-flops on the battlefield and tie them up with hemp, they might stand a certain way too. I'm a firm believer of studying the ancient kata and the strategies and principles and making sure the transmission is solid. And anyone's part of the Budo Yukai, you guys know the kata is what you're tested on. You have a physical, we have 3 forms in testing in our organization. You have 3 parts to every test. The first one is the physical. I'm really big on physical conditioning and the exercise and the strength and conditioning and sparring and bag work and all that kind of stuff. So that's the first part of the test. The second part of the test is all the kata and waza, whatever you're learning on the level. And the third part of your test is the verbal exam. And the verbal exam is kind of broken into 3 little spots. First part of that is we call it historical shinobi jutsu, or historical bujutsu, and that's just learning the history of the samurai and ninja. The historical lessons come from, like, I don't know what I would say, public sources, like, you know, like an example, like Book of 5 Rings or Hagakure or something that's the history of ninja samurai. So my students can learn the history of the ninja, the history of the samurai, etc., etc. And every level, you have a couple questions from a specific source that you have to know. The second part to the verbal exam is the kuden, and the kuden are questions that are specific to the organization and or the 7 traditions that we teach. And as you guys know, the 7 traditions of our school is Kokuru Kempo, Tenjin Ryu Jujutsu, Tomoru Shinobi Jutsu, Eshinru Iaijutsu, Koto Ryu Koppo Jutsu, Gyokuru Koshi Jutsu, and Togaku Ryu Ninpo Taijutsu. Then we have the Deshitan, which are students' Q&A, which the Q&A on the exam, to be quite honest with you, is basically like a terminology. What is, like an example, what is uke waza? Blocking technique. What's a temi waza? Striking technique. What's giri waza? Kicking technique. It's just shit like that. So we have 3 parts every test. Now, to get to that point, not only do you have to learn all the material, but you have to learn all the things that goes along with the material. What does that mean? That means for every traditional kata, there's going to be 3 steps to each one of those kata that you have to know. Just for for you guys who are like, you know, fans or followers or, you know, online students, supporters, online students, whatever, and you're not really into the trend. If you are a student, you're really in the young ranks, the first 3 levels. Once you get past level 3, then this is something that's like common knowledge for anyone who's past level 3. But this is something that I think is a good conversation for you guys, or good understanding. You know, this is some good information for you guys to understand how I operate as an instructor. So let's say you learn kata whatever. So we're gonna call it like Kihon kata, right? So like basic kata, basic form. Kihon kata means basic form. And let's say that you've got a downward block with the lead hand. Here, we're gonna fill this in like this. Downward block with the lead hand, your hand comes up, and then you're gonna move forward and you come in with a strike, right? Something like this, some real big, you know, blah, 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 big motion, you know, this sort of thing. And big step forward and all this kind of stuff. And let's say that the attack comes in, it's oizuki, so it's like a lunge punch. They're stepping in, my right hand is back, my right foot is back, and I'm stepping in with my right foot, and my right hand comes in. And this classical form, right? This what we would perceive as a classical attack with the classical kata. And the students have to know that. And to be honest, the classical form, as long as they do it as written on the scroll, the Densho, that's what they're tested on. But they got to be able to understand that and apply it in all 3 areas, because understanding the kata and being able to apply the kata is understanding the 3 phases of the kata. For our school, some of you guys, remember when I talked about the first time masters? Don't get me wrong, we're gonna go back and I'm gonna call out certain things, and that's where you guys are probably getting a little pissed off at me, some of you guys, but I'll save that part for the last. So anyway, they learn the classical kata. Once they learn the classical kata, then we have what we call is Gendai, henka, waza, which is a modern variation technique. We take a modern variation of the kata and then apply it. It's still the kata. It's still the same strategies, principles, everything. The only thing we change is instead of this big punch coming in like this, we apply it with a modern, and I'm in a modern stance and I might do a downward block and then I'll come in with an uppercut rather than stepping in with the 3 fingers into the neck or something like this, you know? So it, in its essence, the attack line is the same. The energy of the attack line is the same. My response, my front hand or the front gate would do a downward block. My back hand is now chambered to come in with some sort of a rising strike, whether it's an uppercut or, you know, shitanken or whatever, right? So then once they learn the basic kata, the classical kata, then they learn a modern variation of that particular kata. Then we extract even more, and we take that and we extract it into what I call Goshinjutsu, or and that's for the camera. You guys always hear me say reality-based self-defense, and that's just because most of you guys don't know what Goshinjutsu is. But Goshinjutsu in classical Japanese martial arts means self-defense, or what all form of self-defense should be reality-based. People say, I teach reality-based self-defense. It's a fucking, as far as I'm concerned, it's a goddamn keyword, tagline, punchline. People are only saying that because it separates them from other martial arts. I think saying reality-based self-defense, in all honesty, I think it's absolutely stupid. But I do say it in my videos because I want to make sure that the viewers know that I'm talking about we're going to do shit that works in the reality, in the world of reality, not like some stupid. I see people do like, oh, against a knife technique. I saw this one school kick a knife out of the hand or do a spin kick. Someone come in with some sort of attack. They jumped up into a 360 and spin kick and all that stupid shit. And I'm like, fuck, if they call that self-defense, then I gotta say we do reality-based self-defense, because there are some real stupid fucking people out there, you know? And you can't fix stupid. So anyway, cross the street over here. So what we do is we extract. So if the original kata is this, now we have what's called a modern variation of that kata. Then from there, we extract the applicable skills from those kata and apply it to variances of different attacks, so people can get a strong skill set in reality Goshinjutsu, reality-based self-defense, whether it's against hand-to-hand combat, multiple attackers, edged weapon defense, bludgeoning weapon or impact defense, sticks, bats, that sort of thing, golf clubs or whatnot, firearms, things like that. We want to make sure that we can apply it, the extraction of the skill set in that environment. Now, so when you're a student here and now you hit level 3, you start learning, okay, well, here's the base kata, here's the, you know, modern variation or Gendai henka waza, and then here is the Goshinjutsu off of the kata. And you have these 3 phases, and this is the way it's always been here at the school. The problem is I get so many people that'll join and they quit because they can't fucking hack it. They're part of that, you know, first on master bullshit. They like to come and train a little bit, learn a few tips and tricks, and go off and do some bullshit that's easy. Yeah, fuck all that. Then you get these students that are like, well, I've got my black belt in, you know, bullshit. Let me pull out some shit like karate and aikido and, you know, Krav Maga, and then they'll name something else. Well, it's okay, fine and dandy, but at the end of the day, if you just know the basics of 4 arts, the basics of 4 arts, the fuck are you teaching for? You know what I mean? If I can count to 10 in English, Chinese, Japanese, and Spanish, I'm not a fucking linguistics master. I can't hold a fucking conversation with someone else just so I can count to 10 in 4 different languages. That's like the basics is learning how to count to 10. You know what I mean? Ich, ni, san, chi, go, roku, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you know, uno, dos, tres, cuatro, you know, the fuck? But that's what they do. And then, but people that are ignorant, and there's a difference between ignorant and stupid. Ignorant is not knowing better. Stupid is knowing better and do it anyway. Like here's a stove. When the stove is hot, you put your hand on the stove, fuck, and you look at your hand and you burnt your hand. Well, you didn't know that touching that hot stove would burn your hand. That was ignorant. If the same person that burnt their hand on the stove the next week comes by there and be like, oh look, the fucking stove is hot. Fuck, I burned my hand again. Then that person's stupid. So when you present facts to people, and they don't want to take the facts, well then they're just fucking stupid. And you can't fix stupid. So, and what we have is we have people that do the martial arts like, okay, yes, I teach traditional martial arts. What do you teach? I teach traditional karate. Okay. I also teach self-defense and reality-based self-defense. Okay, that's good. Yep, we teach Krav Maga. So karate doesn't work for self-defense? Oh, it does, but Krav Maga is fit for today. Karate doesn't work today? Well, it does, but we do Krav Maga for that. Well, it doesn't make sense. But that's what I mean. That's just, there's this, I mean, I shit you not, there's this one group. I'm gonna say group, I'm not gonna say organization, but I don't think it's an organizational thing, but there's a couple of groups that's in this one organization, and it's one of those popular Ninpo organizations, and they're all like, yeah, we study traditional, ninjutsu and this and this, and we also do Systema. And I'm like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. Like, how the fuck can you sit there and sit there and be like, ninjas and samurai are some of the best fucking soldiers in the history of our planet, history of the world, and you're gonna be like, that isn't good enough to protect me and my family, I gotta go do Systema. I was like, okay, you've had a shitty fucking teacher. And here's the thing though, those first dawn masters, what they know deep down, they know they can only keep their students doing one thing, and that's allowing them to do what the fuck they want. It's like, okay, learn from me what you can, but I think you should go learn other things as well. Because that way, because there's gonna be a point in time where that student is gonna be like, I think my teacher's full of shit. This teacher can't teach me deeper meaning of each kata, because they never knew. Because when you have these first on masters, and that's it, they got their first, second, maybe a third degree black belt at best, right? They never got a master level teaching in anything. They've never reached master level. They can't teach you anything beyond the basic technique. Remember, 5th dan is master. So you have to master the art to understand the physical side. Then you got to go 5th to 10th so you can understand the philosophy and the mindset and the deeper essence. So we call that, there's kuden to the arts, but there's also called hiden. And the hiden means like the secret transmission. And there's kuden and hiden with all the classical Japanese martial arts. And that's not just in the verbal transmission, that's also in the actual application. Like even in ninjutsu scrolls, like you guys know, I have the Tomoru scrolls. I'm the 21st Soke. I've inherited that school, and I have the Tomoru scrolls. When you look at the scrolls, we have like the Shoden Gata, Chuden Gata, Okuden Gata, Kaiden Gata. When you look at the Shoden Gata, the name of the technique is the same fucking technique that you see on the Chuden Gata. The difference is it's what you learn past the Shoden. I feel like I need to keep certain things for my students, and the ninjutsu community is absolutely fucking ridiculous, hypocritical, and bullshit. So I'm going to use a very basic analogy, which this is a basic analogy for what I'm getting ready to say. So let's say you look at a scroll, and it's a ninjutsu scroll, and it says something, something, kata 1. And the first kata is just, wear black at night. That's it. So when you start talking to other people, and the only thing they know is to wear black at night, they were never fucking trained higher than the Shoden Gata. Then the Chuden Gata says, okay, yeah, wear black at night, but also make sure you stick to the shadows, make sure that you do this, make sure you, I'm trying to think of some things that would be extremely generic. That's not specific to my school here. You would cast a specific spell, sort of thing. So then when you have someone that's like, now they're training the Chuden, they know more of that same thing. So I'm using ninjutsu as an example, but all martial arts are like that. When you look at, like, take Ogoshi, major hip throw. Most people know how to do a fucking hip throw if you're in the martial arts. It doesn't matter whether you're in karate or jujutsu or aikido or taijutsu, or you do a fucking hip throw. The people who are really advanced, they know how to do that hip throw a variety of different ways, and a variety of different elements, a variety of different setups, a variety of different, all these things, because they learn more than the base technique. But you get these people that only know these first on masters, the jack of all trades, master of none. They got no dedication and discipline and honor. They jump around from one school to the next organization just trying to fucking make their bullshit, their stupid ass fucking website look better. And at the end of the day, they're shit. Now that you got your black belt from me, you have to learn another martial art before I'll teach you a 2nd degree black belt. Think about that. Think about that. You know what I mean? I mean, a parent don't send a kid over to the parent to be parented. Like that kind of teaching thing. Oh, it's so fucking bullshit. My students have to be dedicated. I've been flat out honest. I don't even take students. I say, well, I want to do Budo Ninjutsu and blah. Okay, well then go do blah. I'm not wasting my time. I'm not going to waste my time with anybody that doesn't want to be a master. Now, there are people who are in the online Ninjutsu dojo, and they study different martial arts and all that kind of stuff. That's all fine and dandy, go on with it, do your thing. But I'm not gonna let someone in the Hanbu dojo and take my personal time who's not gonna give me 100%, because I'm giving my students 100%. You know what I mean? And I believe loyalty should be rewarded. That's why even if you're in the online dojo, you could be in the online dojo, but if you're in the online dojo and you're doing all these other martial arts, you're not on the Kuden page. Because the Kuden page are for the people who are, I'm doing Budo Ninjutsu. And then if I find out that you lied to me, or I find out that all this kind of shit and you kind of went against the fucking grain here, well then I just kick you fucking off. It's like, okay, you're done. Because I believe that That's the right thing. And I know you guys are going to be like, well, wait a minute now. You've talked about this teacher, this teacher, this teacher. I did. And that doesn't mean that I'm saying anything negative about the teachers, the people that took me in and taught me. I'm honored and respect everyone that I've learned something from. However, I also learned through the process that my martial art ability and skill set became stagnant very quick. And it wasn't until I dedicated myself to one master, one teacher, and that was it. That's when my skills went way up. That's when it's like, you know, dating 5 different people, but until you say, okay, look, we're gonna get married, I'm only going to be, you know, dedicated to you, everything tends to go up. It's like, okay, studying 5 different forms of fucking religion. Okay, well, if you're going to do Monday Christianity and Tuesday Wicca and Wednesday, you know, Satanism and Thursday Judaism and Friday, who knows, what the fuck, maybe do some work on Islam, right? Something like that. Well, fuck, there's a point where you're going to be stagnant spiritually, but you dedicate to one, there you go. Martial arts is similar in that regard. There's this that dedication and loyalty and discipline and understanding those things, and you get more benefit from it physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, all these things, and that's a good thing, being able to do that. And I'll just be blunt, like, I'm flat out. If students are going to be dedicated to me and the Budo-Rukai, well then fuck it then. I'm not wasting a whole hell of a lot of time. But the people who are, I make personal videos for them, I keep up with them, I send them messages, I give them phone calls, constant. If you're gonna be loyal here, then I got your back. That's just the way that I am. And I've always been that way. Because I feel like loyalty and that teacher-student relationship should be solid. Because the student is trying to say, I'm gonna be on my path, and from here all the way till I hit 5th, I want you to know how loyal I am and how dedicated I am, because I want to learn the secrets. And once you get past that, that's when you start learning those things, the Kuden and the Hiden and all that kind of stuff. But underneath 5th degree black belt, let's go back to the Kata, underneath 5th degree black belt, that's learning the physical side. And the way that we do things here is that we learn the Kata. From a Kata, then we have a modern variation of the Kata. And from that, we extract the most simplistic techniques to fit in a reality-based self-defense situation. And that's how we grow those 3 stages with every classical kata in all 7 traditions. Now you guys know in the Budo-Rukai we have 5 areas of training. Nanamushiden, which is the 7 warrior traditions of the 7 Ryuha of the school. Gendai Henka Waza, which are the modern variations of those 7 traditions. Hojo Ando, which is supplemental training, push-up, the resistance training, cardio training, sparring, grappling, kickboxing, full contact drills, survival training, you know, weapons construction and maintenance, all that's Hojo Ando. The supplemental skills you need to know to make all that sort of stuff better. Nihon Mushikyu, which is the study of the Japanese warrior, basically the study of the scrolls and a densho. And the last area is Seishin Teki Kyoyo, spiritual refinement. Literally, when you look at the first 3 areas of our 5 areas of training, Nanamushiden, that's the classical, those are the 7 traditions, classical kata. Gendai Henka Waza, those are the modern variations of the classical kata. Hojo Ando is the supplemental skills to the Nanamushiden and the Gendai Henka Waza. So how can you extract from here to fit in a reality-based situation, self-defense situation? And that's the way I do things. Now you have all these people that are teachers say, no. We have traditional Jiu-Jitsu on Mondays and modern whatever on Tuesdays and sport Jiu-Jitsu on Wednesdays, or we have, you know, traditional karate on Mondays and reality-based self-defense on here. It's like you could tell that they never really were highly trained, because if they were highly trained, they would know what a kata is. And if they were at a master level, then they would know how to take the kata and teach that kata at its deepest secrets to their students. So not only would the students know the tradition, but they would also know the variant, and they would also know how to apply it. But when you see teachers that can't do that, they are clearly a 1st degree master that never had the rank that they claim to have. And I can promise all of my students in the Budo-Rukai that will never fucking happen here. I have everything that I said I have learned everything that I'm teaching, and I will make damn sure that you guys will learn every aspect of the kata, the variation, and the reality-based self-defense applications from all of these classical forms. And I can promise that to every student all over the world who's studying here at the Budo-Rukai. Again, if this is your guys' first video here, I am Christa Jacobson. I'm the head of the Budo Dukai. If you guys are interested in training in authentic ninjutsu and classical samurai bujutsu, please check out our website at www.budoninjutsu.com. There you can see a list of all of our schools. And if you don't live next to one of our schools, you can join the Budo Dukai online ninjutsu dojo, and you can study with us that way. So again, that is at www.budoninjutsu.com. Thank you guys very much for your love and support. I deeply appreciate it. And until next time, take care, be safe, and good luck in your journey of Budo. Blessed be.